It's time to nail down my 2025 prediction for the Pats and tell you how I got there. That's where we start on this episode of Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I'm Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England, also co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles and a sports talk show host veteran. On today's episode, the sea of change has been swift and significant at one critical level of the defense, and Mike Vrabel, the front office, continue to add to the trenches. But first, it's time to tell you where I have the Pats finishing in 2025. We appreciate you joining the show, making us your first listen, and for being an everydayer. The Locked On Patriots podcast is a proud partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It is time to predict the 2025 season. I am done waiting. I've seen, I've heard, I've read all that I need to give you my best prediction for this upcoming season. And I think the Patriots will finish at 9-8. You might think that's not good enough. You might think that's too good. But I think this is a 9-8 football team. And the ceiling, because you could always predict 9-8, but of course, few things change here, few things change there, injuries, unknowns. The ceiling for the 25 Patriots, I feel, is 11 wins. And the only way the Patriots get to 11 wins is if everything works out for them. If they stay completely healthy, if some of the teams they face end up being even worse than I think that some of them are going to be. Somebody explodes like a Travion Henderson. Drake May takes a gigantic leap. The defense is top 10. If everything on God's green earth fell right for this team, I think they could win 11. But I've got them at 9. So why more? Why more than double the wins in 2025 than 2024? Let's start with coaching. Let's start with Mike Vrabel. The devil's in the details. A lot of close games in the NFL. Year after year after year. Bruce Nolan of SB Nation wrote, on average, between 50 and 60% of NFL games are decided by one score or less in any given season. And to give you an idea, the Patriots had 9 one-score games in 2024. So if you have a coach like Mike Vrabel, who I respect the heck out of, and I truly believe that he gets his team prepared as good as any coach in football, somebody that pays attention to the details, somebody that understands timeout usage, end of half, end of game situations, when to punt on 4th down, when to go for it on 4th down, how to change game plans week to week if necessary, the rules of the game, all of that stuff. Vrabel's on top of it. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm being a homer, Jeff Howe of The Athletic wrote a column where he spoke to 31 coaches and executives in the league. And one of the questions that Jeff Howe had for these executives was who they thought would exceed expectations this year. Name 3 teams that will exceed expectations this season. There were 25 responses to this question. The Patriots were number 1. The Patriots, along with the Cardinals and the Raiders, they each got 7 votes. We're talking about people that are in the game. We're not talking about a podcast host, a radio host, a local scribe. We're talking about guys and women that are in the game of football. An executive said to Jeff Howe, quote, the Patriots will be super well coached and the division is wide open. Now, I'm not sure the division is wide open because I think Buffalo is the clear leader in the clubhouse for that. But that's an executive in the NFL telling us the Patriots are going to be super well coached, and it begins with Vrabel, but it does not end there. How about Josh McDaniels? For my money, one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL. He has proven that time and again. Even without Tom Brady, he's done a good job in certain situations like Mac Jones and Cam Newton, given those circumstances. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Again, I'm not being a homer. And if you think I am, let's go back to that Jeff Howe article in The Athletic. 30 responses to the following question. Who are the 3 best offensive play callers in the NFL? Sean McVay finished first with 25 votes, which is just amazing. Kyle Shanahan finished second at 18. Then you had Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell, Andy Reid, and then Josh McDaniels. McDaniels was tied with Cliff Kingsbury and Liam Cohen. Of course, the new head coach down there in Jacksonville was Tampa's play caller a year ago. So according to 30 of the 31 execs and coaches responded to this question. According to, 30 of these execs and coaches, Josh McDaniels would fit right around 6 or 7 as best play caller in the NFL. And you've got the very best ahead of him. I would not put him ahead of Sean McVay. I wouldn't put him ahead of Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan's issues are more head coach related, third, fourth down decisions. But I think as a play caller, he's been good. And I know we can always go back to the Falcons Super Bowl, but we're talking about on balance in totality. Ben Johnson is known as one of the best offensive minds that we have seen coach an offense in a long time. And Kevin O'Connell, heavily respected. And obviously Andy Reid is Andy Reid. So we're talking about the best names. McDaniels is right there. Terrell Williams, new defensive coordinator, has a heck of a reputation. Many believe that he's one of the best coaches in football on that side. And so we'll see if he can be the DC that people think he can be. But overall, this staff is qualified. Just tons of qualified people. Doug Marrone and Thomas Brown and Todd Downing, McDaniels, Vrabel, Williams, loaded coaching staff compared to 2024. Then we look at the talent on the team. Let's talk changes. How about the offensive line? In 2024, your starting left tackle was Vidarian Lowe. This year, we know who it is. It's Will Campbell. And even if Will Campbell is just average, he's still going to be a significant upgrade over Lowe. Left guard was Michael Jordan, Layden Robinson. Jared Wilson is going to be the answer there, it seems like. And I would give the edge to Jared Wilson, especially as the season progresses. Center, you have an issue. David Andrews versus Garrett Bradbury. I think Andrews is better when he's healthy. Bradbury, I have concerns about pass protection, so that's one spot out of the 3 so far. Right guard, you had Michael Wenu along with Layden Robinson in 2024. Now you have a fully focused, coming off a good camp, Michael Wenu, full-time right guard. I like it. And finally, right tackle, even if Morgan Moses isn't the same guy at 34 years old, coming off of an injury and surgery, he's still going to be much, much better than Demontre Jacobs, who could not even make the roster this year. Demontre could not even beat out Marcus Bryant. So the offensive line's better. The wide receiver core is better. Number 1 wide receiver last year was Pop Douglas. This year, Stefon Diggs goes into your season as the number 1 guy. You look at number 2, it was Booty versus Pop, right? Booty last year, Pop would be the 2 guy this year. Last year, wide receiver 3, you had Kendrick Bourne, who caught like 25, 30 passes. This year, it's going to be a battle between Booty and Hollins. You still have Booty or Hollins at number 4, who would be going against Jalen Polk from last year. I don't even need to talk about that. And then you've got Kyle Williams matched up against KJ Osborne. I would take Kyle Williams every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. You see what I did there. And then you've got Efton Chisholm III, don't call me the second or the first, against Tyquan Thornton and Javon Baker. O-line's better. Wide receivers are better. Travion Henderson has been added to the mix. Then defensively, Carlton Davis, outside cornerback 2, one of the better cornerbacks in football, easily one of the best 2 guys in the league. Your defensive line with the additions of Landry and Milton Williams and Kaylavon Chason, who had a spectacular camp. So your talent's just better. And then finally, you look at the schedule. Let's look at the head coaches. How many coaches do the Patriots face in 2025 that you would say are as good or better than Mike Vrabel? I've come up with 4 names: Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, Sean McDermott, and John Harbaugh. That's it. That's the list. And as a matter of fact, the Patriots, they face either a rookie head coach or a second-year head coach 5 times this year. Aaron Glenn twice in the division, Brian Callahan, Kellen Moore, and Dave Canales. You've got one of the best head coaches that I think you will see in this conference is Mike Vrabel. I think many would tell you he's a top 10 coach in football, and maybe some would say he's between 10 and 15, but he's right there. And you're going against guys that just are not as good as him, and you're also going against a number of first-timers / second-timers as far as second-year head coaches. So the schedule, and you look at the level of competition, if you want to set it at over under 7.5 games. Wins, if you look at who the Patriots play, they play 10 games against teams with win over unders at 7.5 or worse. 4.5 over under Cleveland Browns. 5.5, you get the Saints, Giants, Jets twice, Tennessee. 6.5, you get the Panthers and Raiders. 7.5, you get the Dolphins and the Falcons. 10 of your 17 games against teams that Vegas is telling us probably don't win 8 games. So coaching, talent, schedule, 9-8, ceiling of 11 wins. All right, the very latest on Christian Gonzalez, a ton of changes to the secondary, and we've got your 2025 captains. All that next as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, well, now's the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. Check out Yahoo Fantasy, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league, because they've got so many options. Season kickoff on September 4th. It's now time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy, which gives you so many ways to compete. You want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one team is left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Prefer the classics? Get your crew together and go head-to-head in a private league. If you have no crew, no problem. Join a public league. It's the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. We have a request for you here at Locked On. We want to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. And this is your chance to tell us what you like and what you don't like. Answer questions about our advertising. Go to LockedOnPodcasts.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's LockedOnPodcasts.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping all of us out here at Locked On. Lots of news coming out of practice on Monday. Some good and some not so good. Let's start with the not so good. We talked about Christian Gonzalez last week and had our attention squarely on the practice on Monday and whether or not Gonzalez was going to show up. And I am here to tell you that Christian Gonzalez's week 1 is in significant peril. He did not practice on Monday. Mike Vrabel said the following about Gonzo, quote, "I wouldn't anticipate him out here today, so hopefully that improves, but he's working hard and trying to improve, and he wants to be out there." I think that, which is good for us and for Christian and the team, is to try not to be frustrated. Obviously, those things happen, and it's how we respond to them. So Gonzalez not at practice on Monday. Patriots have a day off on Tuesday. Do you think Gonzalez, after missing practice since, a month ago, do you think him being out of practice for 4 or 5 weeks that he's going to be able to parachute in on a Wednesday, get a couple of days of running around and be ready for week 1 on Sunday? I find it hard to believe. I guess it's possible. As KG told us, anything is possible at one point, right? So I guess it's possible, but I would find it very, very, very unlikely that Gonzalez plays in week 1, which begs the question, is this a surprise? Because when you look at the original reports, as soon as Gonzalez left practice with an injury, it came out rather quickly that the Patriots felt like it wasn't a serious issue and that he would be available for week 1. Here we are on the precipice of week 1, still hasn't practiced yet. And so Coach Vrabel was asked if Gonzalez had a setback, and he said, quote, "Well, it just hasn't gone." And then he paused. It just hasn't gone. Pause. Again, he's working hard. And whether it's, again, we could say this one injury is going to be 3 to 4 weeks, one's going to be 1 to 2. Everybody heals differently. I think it's pretty clear when Mike Vrabel says, well, it just hasn't gone, and then stops himself. I would just imagine you could complete that sentence and say it hasn't gone to plan. It just hasn't gone to plan, or it just hasn't gone the way we thought it would go. It just hasn't gone the way we hoped it would go. But Vrabel did not finish that sentence for a reason. And if you look at Gonzalez and you wonder, did he put the work in? Is this a guy who just wasn't ready for the season? He worked his tail off in the offseason. He added Pilates, reportedly, to his offseason regimen to even work on the flexibility and the pliability a la Tom Brady. And it feels like this one is a tough break for Gonzalez and a tough break for the team. And with Gonzalez not out there right now, it really underlines the massive changes we've seen in this defensive backfield. You look at the safety position, you are now going to start, it seems like, from what we understand, Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson. Those two guys will be your starting safeties. Different, right? I mean, last year, obviously, it was Duggar, it was Peppers. Hawkins got some time. He got some snaps. Didn't really stand out, was okay. But now you've got Hawkins starting, and you've got the rookie Woodson starting. Then you look at outside cornerback. You go from Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones. If Gonzalez is out this week, you would have Alex Austin and Carlton Davis. Now, of course, Austin has been in New England. He's gotten snaps before. But still, it's different. You go from Gonzalez and Jones to Austin and Davis. So now you have, two new starting safeties, two new starting outside corners if Gonzalez is out. You wonder where Marcus Jones fits in. He's played some slot. He's played some nickelback during joint practices and during camp. He has been outmatched at certain times because of his size. He has been taken advantage of by tight ends. More specifically, TJ Hawkinson made his life miserable during the second Vikings joint practice against the Patriots. And Jones, it's not because he doesn't try. It's not because he's not even good at coverage. It's mostly when he gets beat because he's just not big enough to compete with some of the guys that he's facing. So Marcus Jones, to me, it's interesting. I'm not really sure how he is a part of this equation defensively on a consistent basis. I don't know if he's going to be, but I will tell you one thing about Marcus Jones. He's a captain, and I think he's the most unexpected captain. Monday's practice, Mike Vrabel announced the captains to the team. Team then sent out a social media post, and Marcus Jones was on the list. Kind of surprising. Taylor Kiles from CLNS noted that Vrabel said Jones's leadership was, one of the main reasons why he's a captain. Also, consistent on the field this offseason. Mike Reese wrote that Jones said he was surprised to learn he was voted a captain, describing himself as someone who leads by example. So we had the question of, hey, if Jabril Peppers is no longer here, which he isn't, who's going to be the alpha? Who's going to be the voice? And if you look at the captains, Marcus Jones would be that leader. But even Jones says he's not necessarily a big voice in the room. He leads by example. Some other notes about the captains for 2025. Hunter Henry's on the list. Now, this isn't as surprising, but it is interesting that he's now been a captain for different staffs in New England. He's been leaned on by different staffs, which I think tells you a lot about Hunter Henry as a leader, his leadership skills, his maturity. Just super dependable, super dependable. The other captains that we got, Drake May, not a surprise. I mean, pretty much every starting quarterback is a captain for their team. So it's not really a surprise that Drake was named a captain. Robert Spillane, again, not really a surprise if you watch the latest Forged in Foxborough episode. I mean, my goodness, they talked a ton about Robert Spillane. They followed him home, and you watched him with his children and his wife. He's the quarterback of the defense. He was a captain before getting to New England. So Spillane being a captain's not that much of a shock. Harold Landry on the defensive line. That's interesting because it's not Milton Williams and it's not Christian Barmore. It's Harold Landry, but you can understand that, the experience. And then special teams was pretty obvious. It was Brendan Schooler. He's an all-pro. He's your best special teams player. So those are your captains. May, Spillane, Landry, Schooler, Jones, and Henry. I just mentioned Jabril Peppers. Well, the Jabril Peppers mystery continues while Mike Vrabel in the front office add not one, not two, but three new names to this team that could impact 2025. That's next as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I mean, I love using FanDuel. It fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It truly does make every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. Feeling a little bit down? Check out FanDuel. Energy boost. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Remember, new customers, you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Check out FanDuel.com right now. Hey, folks, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code touchdown and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, you think it's too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by now. Download the free Upside app using my limited time promo code touchdown for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. I'm not sure. I'm not confident if we'll ever get a straight answer on the Jabril Peppers decision made by Mike Vrabel and company. And, if you look at what Vrabel had to say before Monday's practice, he was asked about releasing Jabril Peppers. And according to Evan Lazar, Vrabel said, quote, "These are tough decisions. Got a lot of respect for Jabril as a person and a player," unquote. And then Vrabel went on to downplay the scheme fit narrative because a lot of people, including myself, wondered, was this just a scheme thing? Was Peppers just a bad fit for this scheme? Now, I said I found it hard to believe that Peppers would be gone because of scheme fit, given Anthony Jennings and Kyle Duggar are still in town. And Peppers, he's a veteran. He's an experienced guy. And you would think if Duggar's a bad fit, then he would go. And then you think about the money, but then you think Jennings, bad fit, supposedly. And you would think he would go. He's not making a ton of money. But Vrabel said this is not a scheme thing. And Peppers also kind of jumped on the pile here via social media. He posted on Monday, going 9 years in this league. I've had 7 head coaches and 6 defensive coordinators, LOL. There is no scheme you can place me in where I won't find a way to be effective. Now, Mike Reese also had some more information on the Peppers release. Reese wrote over the weekend that one front office source from an NFL team said Peppers' name had come up in trade discussions earlier in August. So the Patriots' decision to cut ties with Peppers did not come as a surprise to that team. Reese then questioned, could the Patriots have fit Peppers into their plans in more of a niche role? Absolutely. Would Peppers have been okay with that? That's less clear at this point. And I feel like I'm going to stand by what I said during our breaking news episode right before the holiday weekend. We went through all the possible options as to why Peppers would be released. And I just feel it's most likely having to do with a disagreement about the role. And not necessarily the scheme, but the role that the coaching staff wanted Peppers to play. And Peppers is, he's getting older. He doesn't have a ton of time left in the league. And he might just say, hey, look, I want the opportunity to be a top 2 safety for my team. I want to start. I have earned the right to start, and I would agree with Peppers on that. And that's my place. That's what I want to be. And I think that's the most likely answer here. But I don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer. Meanwhile, one of the things you got to question with Peppers now gone, does the defensive backfield lack a playmaking element? I mean, you could look across and say, all right, well, Jalen Hawkins is steady. He's not really a big playmaker. Craig Woodson, as I think it was Mike Giardi wrote last week, Woodson's been around the football a lot during camp, but he hasn't made a ton of plays on the football. And so do they have that playmaking piece on that back end, especially at safety? I think that's a question. I also wonder, the good vibes. And I know good vibes don't win you football games. Good vibes don't make you championship level. But there is something to be said that Kendrick Bourne and Jabril Peppers were two of the good vibes guys in the locker room. They were always keeping things upbeat. They were always facing the reporters. They always brought energy to the team. And I'm not saying that can't be replaced. It just has to be replaced because those two guys did bring the good vibes and energy even during seasons when the team absolutely stunk. And there's something to be said for that for sure. So Peppers is gone. That means you had to replace him on the 53-man roster. This is something we questioned during the breaking news episode. And the guy who replaces Peppers is defensive tackle Eric Gregory. He was claimed from Cincinnati. And I would imagine this tells us all that the Patriots coaching staff feel that defensive line is more important than linebacker, or they just don't think anybody is good enough to pick up that linebacker, and they believe in Eric Gregory. Now, who is Eric Gregory? Taylor Kyles of CLNS posted that Gregory lined up. Try that again. I can't say it. Gregory lined up at multiple IDL spots this preseason. Tongue twister. Gregory's ability to hold his ground and knife into backfields versus the run, and he flashed as a penetrator and looper on line games. Evan Lazar wrote that Gregory is known for being a gap control defensive tackle who can stop the run. And that's a question that we've had about the interior defensive line. Will they be able to consistently stop the run? They're going to ask Milton Williams to play more snaps than he played in Philadelphia. And so this is a little bit of insurance with Eric Gregory. And that's not it. Not the only addition. I've been saying over the past week or two that I would love more veteran offensive line options, and the Patriots added two NFL veteran offensive linemen. Tackle Thayer Munford Jr. signed to the practice squad. Patriots released Jack Conley, who was more of a guard than tackle. Mark Daniels wrote that Munford spent the last 3 seasons in Vegas, played 688 snaps at right tackle, 245 snaps at left tackle. And of course, because he was in Vegas, he played 2 seasons with Josh McDaniels, or at least a year and a half. So he played left tackle, he played right tackle. He's played, just 900 plus snaps, 1,000 snaps in the NFL over the past 3 seasons. Evan Lazar posted that Munford played some right tackle and was used as a 6th offensive lineman in tackle-eligible packages. So you could see Munford play that role. But the Patriots weren't done. Mike Reese reported that the Patriots signed Brendan James to the practice squad and released Alec Lindstrom. And James played at Nebraska, was a 5th-round pick of the Chargers in 2021, appeared in 46 games, 3 starts with L.A. So, again, you have more connections. Munford with McDaniels. You've got, obviously, James with Thomas Brown and Stretch. And Mark Daniels wrote, according to Pro Football Focus, James has played 241 snaps at center, 8 at left guard, 8 at right guard. So more center than guard, but he's at least sprinkled in 8 snaps at each guard position. And he signed with the Titans this offseason, and he was released as part of the final roster cut. So the Patriots continue to add, and you've got limited options at this time of year. You got to try to get the best that you can get. All right, that wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at Nick C Radio, and don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe. Thank you for making Locked On Patriots your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL season previews on Locked On NFL. Every division winner breakout stars and Super Bowl contenders. An 8-episode series with everything you need to know about the NFL season. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and we will see you tomorrow.